A 78-year-old billionaire is worth billions. He has a beautiful 20-year-old wife named Rose. But he doesn't want to live anymore. He suffers from a strange illness. Every attack brings unbearable pain. All the water in his body suddenly pours out. Rose pretends to stand by him, but secretly flirts with the butler. The billionaire knows everything, but he can't do anything about it. He hires 80 famous doctors to examine him. They cut him open and test his blood. One even tastes his urine. But they can't find the cause. He refuses to give up. He pays $20 million to hire Blackjack. Blackjack has no medical license. His fees are crazy expensive, but he's the billionaire's last hope. Blackjack asks about his symptoms. Right then the billionaire has an attack. Terrible pain makes him roll on the floor. He looks absolutely terrifying. Rose quickly grabs bottles of ice water. She pours them all down his throat. The pain eases a little, but the next second all the water pours out through his pores. Not a single drop stays inside. He even turns into a human fountain. Even Blackjack has never seen this before. He checks the medical records. He goes to the home clinic. He reads all the doctor's reports, but the billionaire's body seems perfectly normal. The water that eases his pain is just regular groundwater. Blackjack keeps looking. Then he finds the problem. All the other doctors only operated after the attacks ended, so they couldn't see how his body changed during an attack. But during attacks, he shakes violently. Operating then would kill him. Finding the cause would be useless. Blackjack is stuck. Meanwhile, Rose is busy playing cards with the butler. They're having fun together. The butler has always wanted the rich man's money. He dreams that after the rich man dies, he can use Rose to become rich too. But this time Rose says no to the butler. She is pregnant with the rich man's child, and she believes Blackjack can cure her husband. But the butler finds out. He threatens Rose if she tries to leave him, he will tell everyone her secrets. Rose says, "This child is my husband's. We women know these things." But the butler isn't scared. He knows if he tells the rich man won't trust Rose anymore. The butler says, "You think you're so clever. You get pregnant with the heir, and now you want to dump me." Meanwhile, Blackjack is still thinking hard. Then he sees servants in the mansion chasing a boy who stole something with dogs. Blackjack saves the boy with his assistant Pinocchio's help. He gives the boy a rabies shot. Then he stitches the wound before leaving. He tells the boy to stop stealing. But the boy says he needs money to dig a clean well for his father. Then his father won't suffer from the chimera virus. Blackjack thinks of the rich man. He wonders if the rich man has the same chimera disease. So he drives the rich man's Rolls-Royce Phantom to a village on the other side of the island. There he sees the boy struggling to get water. The boy brings it to his father, but his father is curled up and unconscious. When Blackjack enters the house, blue light bursts from the father's body. Then he dies. The boy's crying brings other villagers. Many people here have the same strange disease. All they can do is burn the dead bodies to stop the disease from spreading. But it doesn't help. No one knows why this virus gone for 150 years. This strange virus disappeared completely 150 years ago, but now it has returned. Drinking water can ease the pain, but the village's underground water supply is decreasing every year. Some believe the rich man's giant water pump has drained their underground water, so they plan to destroy it. The rich man knows he doesn't have much time left. He calls his butler and tells him to leave. He always knew about the affair between his wife, Rose, and the butler, but he pretended not to notice to keep Rose happy. Now that Rose has lost interest in the butler, he wants to remove this problem before he dies. Blackjack returns to the castle. He learns from the town doctor that chimera disease first appeared 60 years ago. Quick action stopped it from spreading widely. It returned 6 years ago. There's no cure. No one even knows what causes it. Blackjack knows he can't treat this disease. He offers to return the rich man's money. But the rich man tells his story instead. The first chimera virus carrier 60 years ago was his mother. When islanders found out, they stormed his home and burned his whole family alive. Only he escaped by jumping into water. He worked hard at sea and became very rich. Later he married Rose. He thought his troubles were over, but then chimera disease struck him. So he returned to his hometown to spend his final days. He paid Blackjack $20 million, not to cure him, but to study his body, to find the cause of chimera disease, and help his hometown people. But he doesn't know. Villagers are coming with torches, marching toward the castle, just like 60 years ago. They want to destroy the rich man's water pump. They plan to burn the source of the virus. Blackjack finally agrees to the rich man's request. He wheels the rich man into the operating room. But the rich man suddenly remembers he hasn't said good morning to his wife today. Blackjack asks, "Should I take you back?" The rich man says, "No, if my mood changes. It might affect your surgery. Good morning, Rose." These are the rich man's last words. After entering the operating room, he gets sick again. Blackjack has to strap down his arms and legs. Then he gives him anesthesia. But the anesthesia doesn't work. His body keeps shaking uncontrollably. Blackjack hesitates to operate, but the rich man keeps urging him with his eyes. Finally, the scalpel cuts in. Blue flames burst from the rich man's throat. Blackjack finally sees the source of the virus. But now the villagers break into the castle. They start fires and smash things. The butler suddenly comes back too. He hides Rose in a closet, risking his life. Then he runs toward the angry villagers. Alone he dies for his twisted love. When the villagers storm the operating room, they see the rich man's body. Blackjack tells the ignorant villagers, "The rich man never hated you. He never wanted revenge. He only hated the chimera disease. And with his life, he gave your people a chance to survive." Months later, the chimera virus becomes known worldwide. The data from Blackjack's dissection of the rich man helps people understand the disease. The virus hides between arteries and blood vessel walls. When inactive, it shows no signs, so it's very hard to detect. But when blood pressure becomes unbalanced, the virus activates. Drinking lots of water eases the pain because the extra water balances blood pressure, forcing the virus to stop, though how the virus spreads is still unknown. The rich man and Blackjack paid the highest price. But the rich man and Blackjack paid a terrible price. Their sacrifice opened a miraculous door for medical treatment of this disease. A man gets shot 274 times every day, but there are no bullets in his body. Even his wounds heal incredibly fast. This isn't a superpower, it's a strange illness. The man often dreams about being shot. The terrible pain feels very real, but when he wakes up there are no wounds. He's seen many doctors, but they all say it's just stress causing hallucinations. Then he meets Blackjack. That night, he has another dream. This time he sees a strange mother and daughter singing a familiar nursery rhyme as they approach. Then they disappear into a corner. The man grabs his gun and chases them. Suddenly a helicopter appears and rains bullets from a machine gun. The man gets shot again. Blackjack hears his cries and rushes in. He puts a towel in the man's mouth to stop him from biting his tongue in pain. Then he carefully examines the wounds, after confirming they're gunshot wounds. Blackjack doesn't treat them immediately. Instead, he takes photos for records. When the man wakes up, his wounds have disappeared again. Blackjack asks him if he had major surgery 20 years ago, because last night he found at least a dozen stitched wounds on the man. But the man can't see any scars in the photos. Blackjack gives him a magnifying glass. Looking at his skin patterns, the man finally sees the faint stitching marks on his body. Even Blackjack is amazed by this technique. Someone perfectly blended the stitches with the natural skin texture. The patient never noticed them before. Blackjack wants to meet this master surgeon. But the man's parents have passed away, and he can't remember things from age 1 to 2. The next day, the man learns Blackjack's identity. He begs Blackjack to cure his strange illness. He offers his entire fortune of $30 billion for the treatment. But Blackjack, who usually charges high fees, this time asks for no money at all. Instead, his condition is for the man to help him find the doctor who stitched him up years ago. The man agrees immediately. Then Blackjack uses his connections to find the nearest hospital. He begins the surgery on the man. During the operation, the man dreams of the mother and daughter. Again, his body starts bleeding heavily. This helps Blackjack find the cause. The man's stitched blood vessels are torn, causing his internal bleeding. Blackjack says, "I'll stitch the blood vessels." After Blackjack fixes the blood vessels, he lets the man rest for a few days before discharge. Then they go to a place called San Merida. It's the place from the lullaby the mother and daughter sing in his dreams. The country has been unstable for years and only recently became peaceful, but the streets are still in ruins. People struggle to find food. San Merida, their destination, was once the rebel army's base. Years of war have turned it into rubble. Suddenly the man gets a terrible headache. He's never been here before, but the place feels strangely familiar. He runs to a building and describes the rooftop scene before seeing it. There's a house with a red roof. The left window is broken. It was hit by a tank. He rushes upstairs. Everything is exactly as he described. Following sudden memories in his mind, he finds an abandoned house. The mother and daughter appear again in his dream. He chases after them. On the nightstand, he sees a photo of the mother and daughter. Tears stream down his face. Overwhelming sadness makes him cry uncontrollably, even though he doesn't know these people. Why does he feel such deep sadness? They ask the village priest for answers, but they learn there was never a doctor here. He tells them he only arrived less than 2 years ago. If they want to know about the past, they should ask the village's only elder. He is the graveyard keeper. He is very strange. He never talks to anyone. Blackjack explains why they are there. He tells the man's whole story, but the graveyard keeper still ignores them. The priest begs him to help, but the old man yells at him because the original people of San Merida all died in the war. The old man refuses to talk to outsiders, but just then the man hums the mysterious song. Tears fill the old man's eyes. Finally, he tells them the secret he kept for years. A mother and daughter were shot 274 times. Their bodies were full of bullet holes, but the woman was still alive. She wanted to see her daughter one last time, but her daughter was already gone. The woman was about to die too. Then a badly hurt boy was brought in. He had severe burns and broken bones. The doctors couldn't save him. They placed him next to the woman so they wouldn't be alone. The horror made the doctor feel helpless. Guilt and sadness overwhelmed him. But someone told him to check on the woman. She was using her last strength to hold and feed the boy, a child who wasn't hers. Then she died like that. This moment deeply moved the doctor. He decided to save the boy no matter what. And then a miracle happened. The woman's blood type changed from A to O, matching the boy's. So the doctor made a bold choice. He would transplant her organs into the boy. The doctors transplant the woman's organs into the boy, from his blood to his skin. The boy and the woman, who were strangers before, survived together after a 17-hour surgery. The operation is a success. The boy lives, a couple adopts him, and he grows up to become the man today. Now everyone understands. The mother and daughter in his dreams are the woman who saved him, and his nightmares about being shot are her last memories before death. But then Blackjack notices the gravedigger's hands have burns from disinfectant. This means he's also a doctor. Thinking about the man's strange past, Blackjack realizes the old man before him was the one who performed the surgery years ago. The old man doesn't deny it. But when Blackjack shows him a photo and asks about his amazing skills, the old man says he knows nothing about it. He calls himself a terrible doctor. He studied medicine abroad, but never got a license. When war broke out in his homeland, he returned to help the wounded, but his poor skills failed to save many lives. He believes the boy survived not because of his skills, but because the woman protected him. Suddenly the priest arrives with soldiers. He's actually a spy sent to find proof that the old man helped rebels. They arrest him. The priest says he'll stand trial, but the general orders his men to shoot. The old man is killed on the spot. The general doesn't want him speaking to the public. The old man saved many civilians and had great influence. The general fears his voice. After the general leaves, Blackjack rushes forward. He checks the old man's injuries. He finds the man still has a slim chance to live. So he quickly calls everyone to prepare for surgery. This is Blackjack's hardest effort, yet he works with extreme focus and seriousness. He wants to recreate the miracle the old man once performed. But the bullets in the old man's body seem endless. No matter how many he removes, more remain. After hours of effort, the old man's heart finally stops. A bullet has pierced his right ventricle. The old man who once saved countless lives from death will never wake up again. Blackjack sighs, I don't believe in gods. But at that moment I wished so badly that some higher power existed. Inside her body lives a giant snake. It tightly coils around her heart. This makes colorful fish scales grow on her skin. This isn't just a strange illness, it's a witch's curse. The snake bursts out of the woman's body. It tries to attack the doctors during surgery, but a guard kills it with one slash. The witch who cast the curse suffers backlash instantly. Not long before this, Blackjack receives a package sent 2 years ago. He opens it to find a box full of money. There's also a letter and a map. The letter says the sender's wife has a strange illness. He begs Blackjack to come and treat her. But Pinocchio tells Blackjack the package was sent 2 years earlier. Sensing the urgency, Blackjack doesn't blame the delivery man. He tells Pinocchio to pack quickly, and they leave. He hopes they can still save the woman. Following the map, they reach the mountains. A truck driver tells them the address isn't far ahead, but heavy snow starts falling. They still see no houses nearby to take care of Pinocchio. Blackjack decides to stay at a nearby temple overnight, but their car gets stuck in the snow. They have no choice but to rest inside the car. But when Black Jack wakes up again, he finds himself in front of the temple. Black Jack doesn't think too much about it. He carries Pinocchio into the temple. The temple is empty, but the big bell suddenly rings. Then a very beautiful nun comes out. Black Jack asks the nun to take care of Pinocchio. He goes alone to the patient's house. But when he reaches the address on the map, he only finds a 1,000-year-old sacred tree. Suddenly a man in armor appears. He rushes over and grabs Black Jack. The man says his name is James. He was the one who sent the package. The next moment arrows shoot down their horse. A group of angry warriors charges at them, but James easily defeats them. When they reach the camp, they see a group of wounded soldiers. James walks past them. He takes Black Jack to see the patient. She is not his wife. Instead he calls her princess. She doesn't care about Black Jack's arrival. She only asks James if he brought the euro leaves. James says the snowstorm was too heavy. He couldn't find any euro leaves. Hearing this, the woman goes crazy. She puts on a mask and rushes out. She swings her sword at James, but the blade is dull so it doesn't hurt James. Black Jack tries to stop her, but the princess knocks him out. When he wakes up, James tells him the princess got sick 4 years ago. Back then a king named John liked the princess for her beauty. He wanted to force her to marry him, but she refused to marry a 69-year-old man. So the day before the wedding, she ate a poisonous fruit. She survived because she was saved in time. The wedding was canceled, but she got this strange illness. Her body is covered in colorful fish scales. She often suffers terrible pain and faints. Only euro leaves can ease her pain, but euro leaves are highly addictive. James dares not give her too many. He pretends he can't find any. Hearing this, Black Jack wants to examine the princess fully, but he discovers his medical tools have all disappeared. He has to use old-fashioned methods like observation and pulse checking. He thinks the problem is her heart. Then he spots someone eavesdropping above. James notices too. The man is called Hebamaru. He's Sarah's favorite servant. He came to convince James to hand over the princess, or an army will attack soon. James refuses. They fight, but neither can win. The battle ends in a draw. Hebamaru escapes to report back. Black Jack returns to his car to get backup medical tools for surgery, but he falls into a trap. Hebamaru appears again. She tells Black Jack to come with her. Sarah wants to meet him. Seeing Hebamaru enter the temple, Black Jack senses danger. He rushes inside. Pinocchio is already gone. The beautiful nun is actually Sarah. Because she couldn't have children, John heartlessly abandoned her. He sent her to this remote temple. Black Jack panics. He grabs his medical kit and races back to camp. Upstairs he hears the princess scolding James. Why didn't you marry me? They grew up together and loved each other, but their different social statuses made James keep his distance. Even when she wanted to die with him, he refused to let her. He couldn't bear to see her die young. Then Black Jack finally speaks up. He tells them to prepare for the surgery. But after giving her anesthesia, Rose still can't fall asleep. James has no choice but to use the last euro leaf. After helping Rose take it, she finally falls asleep and the surgery begins. When the scalpel cuts in, Sarah senses it immediately. She rushes into the room and strengthens her curse. The giant snake grows bigger. James quickly draws his sword and attacks. With one strike he kills the snake. Sarah suffers backlash and dies in anger. After Black Jack stitches the wound, he tells James to wait for it to heal. Rose will be fine then. But fate doesn't give them a chance. John's army suddenly attacks. James's men are outnumbered. They can't stop them. But now that he knows Rose's feelings, James finally makes up his mind. Even if it means certain death, he will go with Rose to the afterlife. At the same time, Hebamaru brings Sarah's body to John, hearing his wife is dead. John doesn't care at all. All he thinks about is Rose. But Hebamaru suddenly attacks, trying to kill John. Guards shoot her with arrows. With her last strength, she triggers a trap. A sword flies out and pierces John. This tale of love and hate ends. James fights his way out with Rose. He excitedly tells her his deep love. Now, in this wide world, they can live together forever. But he doesn't know. Rose already died, smiling when she heard his words, her wound reopening. When James realizes it's too late, enemies catch up. Heartbroken, James refuses to run. He joins his love in the flames. When Black Jack arrives, Pinocchio tells him the soldiers dressed up the princess's body and buried it in John's coffin. The unlucky lovers never got to be together. Time jumps forward. Black Jack wakes up again and finds himself still in the car. Only half an hour has passed. Everything that just happened was just a dream. The snow has stopped. Now a man suddenly appears under a tree and says he's the one who wrote to Black Jack. Blackjack follows the man home. He goes up to the familiar attic and sees the man's wife, who looks exactly like the princess from his dream. After checking her, Blackjack confirms she has a tumor on her heart. This needs surgery at a proper hospital. He goes downstairs to talk to the man, but finds no one there. He tells the woman everything. She says her husband, James, died in a work accident 2 years ago. Blackjack can't believe it. The package he got was sent 2 years ago. James's love story is still continuing. Every wrinkled bill in that package shows James's silent love for his wife. Blackjack doesn't say more. He takes the woman with him to get her surgery at the best hospital. He believes this surgery will definitely succeed because the woman carries James's love through time. A woman who's been single for 20 years suddenly gets pregnant. The baby is her own sister. She finds Blackjack and asks him to remove it. But Blackjack finds out she's not pregnant. Her sister became a cyst while still in their mother's womb and has lived inside her for 20 years. It has been exactly 20 years. Blackjack agrees to perform the surgery. But just as he prepares to make the cut, a mysterious force suddenly stops him. A voice says, "Don't cut." The voice comes from the woman's belly. Turns out the sister already has her own consciousness. She knows that if she is removed, she will die instantly. Blackjack still wants to continue, but the force takes control of him and turns the scalpel toward himself. Helpless, Blackjack promises he will help her survive. Only then does the surgery proceed smoothly. Blackjack places her in a container and asks the woman what to do with her. The woman says, "Please throw her away." But Blackjack doesn't listen. Instead, he stitches the organ together. This is how Pinocchio is born. Since then, Blackjack keeps Pinocchio by his side, until one day Pinocchio suddenly faints at home. Blackjack takes her to the best hospital for tests, but the results show nothing wrong. In the following days, Pinocchio keeps fainting. Blackjack cancels all his appointments and focuses on studying her condition, but he finds no answers. Then a man comes seeking help. Blackjack is about to refuse, but the man says only he can treat Yuri. Blackjack suddenly remembers Yuri is Pinocchio's twin sister. The man says Yuri has been fainting often, but hospital tests show nothing wrong. Hearing this, Blackjack realizes Pinocchio's illness is caused by her sister, Yuri. Blackjack refuses to treat Yuri at first, but Pinocchio begs him to help. So they go to Yuri's house immediately. Pinocchio promised never to see her sister again, so she stays alone in the guest room when Yuri meets Blackjack. She doesn't ask him to cure her. She only asks to live 2 more months so she can perform a dance at the upcoming festival. She wants to perform a dance called the White Egret Ascends. Blackjack charges an outrageous fee of 100 million yen. Surprisingly, Yuri agrees without hesitation. Blackjack becomes curious. Why would Yuri spend so much money just to dance? Once he watches Yuri practice her dance, but halfway through she faints again. Blackjack immediately examines her. He discovers many tumors growing inside her body. No matter how many times they're removed, the tumors keep coming back. These tumors are clearly causing Yuri and Pinocchio to faint. But Blackjack doesn't rush into surgery. He needs to understand what's causing Yuri's illness. The next day, Blackjack takes bored Pinocchio for a walk. They accidentally reach the family shrine. Though she's never been there before, Pinocchio feels strangely familiar with it. They meet the head priest. He tells them about the White Egret Ascends dance. Legend says a fairy turned into a white egret and came to Earth. She married a human man and had twins. But one child was killed by humans and could never return to heaven. To help that child reunite with their mother in heaven, the dance was created. Then another man whispers that because of the dead child's curse, one twin in this family always dies young. Only by performing the dance can the curse be broken. Blackjack doesn't believe in curses. He goes to his lab to research. Meanwhile, Yuri faces a bigger problem. News of her illness spreads, and the elders want to replace her as family head. They worry sick Yuri won't perform the dance perfectly at the upcoming festival. Facing doubts, Yuri knows she must prove her strength, so she risks her health. Yuri performs the White Heron Ascension dance in the pouring rain. Her beautiful moves even attract fish to dance with her. Even her rival is moved by her performance. Everyone agrees she's truly skilled, except Blackjack. He can't understand why Yuri risks her life just to perform this dance. But Yuri explains she must send the White Heron back to heaven to break the twins' curse. Hearing this, Blackjack goes to the shrine to ask about the curse. Hundreds of years ago, a princess escaped war with her guard into the mountains. A fairy turned into a white heron and saved them. Soon after, the princess became pregnant. but enemies found them. They wouldn't hurt the princess, but wanted to kill her unborn child. She secretly gave birth to twins. To save one child, she hid one baby and drowned herself with the other. The surviving child became Yuri's ancestor. Since then, one twin always dies young. Black Jack doesn't believe this, but Pinocchio faints again before passing out. She tells him to save her sister at the lake. Yuri was practicing there, but fell into the water during an attack. Black Jack arrives just in time to save her on the way to the hospital. Yuri finally shares her promise with Pinocchio. They vowed to survive together, but as her cyst grew worse, she needed surgery from Black Jack to perfect the dance. He tells her Pinocchio is still alive and sent him to save her. Soon both sisters reach the same hospital. Black Jack immediately decides to operate on them. Considering Yuri's health condition, he must shorten the 6-hour surgery to just 1 hour. After days of research, he finally finds the cause. The reason both sisters got sick is a special twin phenomenon called chimerism. This causes Yuri's body to produce special antibodies to balance Pinocchio inside her. But when she removed Pinocchio, these antibodies started attacking Yuri's body. That's why tumors keep growing inside her. To cure her completely, they need to transplant part of Pinocchio's liver into Yuri. This way they can live together differently. Using his amazing skills, Black Jack finishes the surgery in 1 hour. 2 months later, Yuri fully recovers. At a festival, she perfectly performs the white heron dance. When Black Jack prepares to leave, Yuri suddenly asks to see Pinocchio one last time. But Black Jack firmly says no. When she abandoned Pinocchio before, she lost all rights to be her sister. Just then Pinocchio walks by outside. She keeps her promise to Black Jack and doesn't meet her sister. Pinocchio whispers, "Goodbye, sister. If you don't eat for 17 days straight, you can easily lose 8 pounds. An actress tries this. She does lose weight, but then she gets a strange illness. Now, whenever she eats anything, she vomits immediately. Without food for so long, her body becomes very weak. Just walking in a 5-pound wedding dress makes her faint. At the hospital, doctors say she's malnourished. Her director thinks work stress caused it and gives her 7 days off. But Michelle suspects she might have that disease. Michelle goes home and tries to eat again. She eats half an orange peel and all, but it doesn't help. She leaves a note. She says she's going out for fresh air, but she actually visits her uncle in the countryside. She asks him to cure her strange illness. But her uncle is only a vet for cows and horses. He has no idea how to treat her condition, so he spends his life savings. He hires the mysterious doctor, Black Jack, to find the cause of her illness. Michelle tells Black Jack about her past. She started as a nude model. Later she acted in many adult films. She always wanted to be a real actress. Finally, a famous director noticed her. She got the lead female role to create the perfect character. She needed to lose 8 pounds, so she started eating less, from 7 meals a day to just 3. As her body grew thinner, she couldn't eat anything at all. After a quick checkup, Black Jack thinks it's her stomach or mental state, but the medical equipment here is too basic. He can only give her nutrients through and for. When she feels better, he'll do a full checkup. The tests are painful for Michelle, but she endures them all. Black Jack sees her strong will to live, but the test results shock him. Michelle's body is completely normal. Her stomach and brain are just like a healthy person's. This stops the treatment. Meanwhile, Michelle falls into a nightmare. She dreams of her childhood friend, Katina. Back then they used a graveyard storage shed in the village as their secret hideout. They would stay there all day. Even a little puppy could keep them happy. For months they promised each other Katina would become a writer. Michelle wants to be an actress, but this promise ends suddenly. 2 years later, Katina gets a strange illness that can't be cured. Her life stops forever at age 12. When Michelle wakes up, she finds a red mark on her forehead, just like Katina had years ago. Strong fear and pain break her weak heart. Instantly, she runs out of the house, takes her uncle's car, and tries to leave. She even hurts Black Jack by hitting him. But Black Jack notices Michelle's red mark. Looks familiar. Her uncle quickly borrows another car and chases her with Black Jack. Michelle faints again while driving and crashes the car off a cliff. When Black Jack and her uncle find her, someone else has already saved Michelle. This person is also an old friend of Black Jack. Like Black Jack, Dr. Kariko is an unlicensed doctor. But unlike Black Jack, Dr. Kariko doesn't save lives. Instead, he helps people who suffer from pain by giving them a peaceful death. Even though the patients agree, Black Jack still doesn't like this. He forces Dr. Kariko to leave. At that moment, the director and agent arrive. They want Michelle to return to filming soon, but her uncle kicks them out. Before leaving, the director turns back and asks if Michelle has a red mark. Her uncle is shocked. He takes the director to Michelle's bed. The director then says his sister died from the same illness years ago. Katina was actually the director's sister. They didn't live together, but they often wrote letters. That's how he knew about Michelle. After Katina's death, he wanted to help Michelle achieve her dream. But now Michelle has the same illness as his sister. Hearing this, Blackjack suddenly thinks of something. Blackjack suddenly thinks of a possibility. Michelle and Katina got the same disease 18 years apart. This means they have the same cause. The only thing they have in common is their childhood hometown. So Blackjack immediately leaves. He drives to Michelle's hometown. On the way he meets Dr. Kariko again. Dr. Kariko gives Blackjack a book about bacteria. He tells Blackjack that Michelle's symptoms match those of a parasite in the book. Blackjack checks and sees it's true, but his earlier tests didn't find any parasites in Michelle. Seeing his doubt, Dr. Kariko shows him an old map. He points to Michelle's hometown, where there was a secret lab that made biological weapons. Then Dr. Kariko leaves. But he doesn't go home. Instead, he brings flowers and visits Michelle's hospital room. He's not as cold as he seems. Michelle guesses who he is. She asks him for help, but surprisingly he says no. Maybe he believes Blackjack can find a cure. Meanwhile, Blackjack reaches the secret base. He sees dead animals everywhere. He knows bacteria leaked here. He takes a dead rat as a sample, then burns the place down. He quickly examines the rat, looking for the parasite. After a whole night, he finds the cause. He asks Michelle if she visited home. She says she wanted to share her joy with Katina, but got bitten by a rat. Now sure it's a parasite. Blackjack prepares for surgery. Her uncle, a vet, helps him. From the rat study, he knows the parasite is in the brain's hunger center. That's why Michelle can't eat. Blackjack opens Michelle's brain with her uncle assisting. Through studying the rats, Blackjack already knows the parasite hides in the brain's hunger center. That's why Michelle refuses to eat. Blackjack opens Michelle's brain. He uses scissors to grab a nerve. Her uncle quickly warns him that's a brain nerve, not the parasite. But when he separates it, the parasite changes back to its real form. This kind of parasite can change its shape to match its surroundings. That's why Michelle's previous tests couldn't find it. They all missed it. If Blackjack hadn't studied that rat, he wouldn't know either. The surgery succeeds. Michelle fully recovers. Her movie finishes on time and gets released. Through this movie, she becomes a famous star and leaves her past behind. A boy grows 10,000 tree buds on his body. Roots spread through his whole body, but avoid all his important organs. Even experienced Blackjack has never seen such a strange case. He thinks it's a special parasite, but tests show the leaf is made of real plant fibers. Blackjack can't believe it. How can plants live inside humans? The boy's brother, Andrew, asks, isn't cordyceps a plant that lives on insects? Blackjack explains cordyceps are just simple fungi. That's why they infect bugs. But his brother has a more advanced hardwood plant. Late at night, Blackjack takes them back to school. He'll take Lawrence to the hospital tomorrow for better tests. But before dawn, Andrew calls again, saying Lawrence disappeared. Blackjack dresses quickly. He goes to search for Lawrence, but he doesn't notice. Little Pinocchio now has small tree buds also grow on Pinocchio's body. They arrive at the school. Blackjack and Andrew search every corner, but they find no trace of Lawrence. Andrew says his brother is very timid. He would never go out alone at night. He must be in danger. But Blackjack spots tree buds on the ground. They come from Lawrence's body. The buds lead all the way outside the school. Andrew still doesn't believe it. He goes back to the dorm to check Lawrence's belongings are gone. This means he left on his own. Blackjack comforts him. He promises to keep looking for Lawrence. Little does he know Lawrence is now with Pinocchio. He planted the tree buds on Pinocchio's body. Now they are companions in suffering. Pinocchio, unconscious, is taken away by Lawrence. They walk along the railway tracks heading toward a mysterious ancient tree. Soon they reach a garden full of plants. Lawrence excitedly takes off his shirt. His body is covered in tree buds. He lies in the flowers looking blissful. The buds on his body grow even stronger. When Blackjack returns to the hotel, he finds Pinocchio missing. Seeing the tree buds on the ground, he suspects Lawrence is involved. He calls Pinocchio right away, but Pinocchio sounds dazed. She only says she's going to the airport. Andrew arrives in time with the news. He tells Blackjack his brother might have gone home because Lawrence has lived with his parents in San Merida all his life. He only moved to London for school last year. It's the only place he might go. So they take a plane immediately and return to San Merida. But Lawrence isn't there, hearing their son has a strange illness. His parents are very worried. Blackjack guesses they might be on their way home from the airport. So Blackjack and the boy's father drive off to look for them. They leave the mother and Andrew behind to wait. Meanwhile, Lawrence doesn't take Pinocchio home. Instead, he walks deep into the forest. His condition gets worse. Even his eyes are covered in tiny tree sprouts. Pinocchio has to lead him by the hand. Finally, they reach a river, but Lawrence refuses to go further. He lies on the ground mumbling nonsense. I want to take root here. I want to grow into a small tree. Pinocchio quickly says, Don't sleep, Lawrence. Someone please help us. Luckily, they meet a kind old man. He helps them out of the forest. On the way, they run into Blackjack. He rushes Lawrence to the best hospital nearby. They use special machines to check his whole body. The results shock everyone. The tree roots avoid all his important organs. For now, this won't hurt Lawrence. But over time, the roots will drain all his nutrients. So Blackjack acts fast. He starts preparing for surgery. But then Pinocchio finds him. She shows him tree sprouts on her body too. Lawrence planted seeds in me. Please operate on me too. After checking, Blackjack sees the sprouts on Pinocchio are already dead. Because she has artificial skin, the tree can't get any nutrients from her. Soon Lawrence's surgery begins. Blackjack uses his amazing skills to remove all the tangled roots inside him. After 10 hours, every root is gone. They also find the cause, a seed that grows endlessly. Blackjack asks the parents if anything strange happened to Lawrence. The father remembers something odd. 2 years ago, there was a heavy snowstorm. Then Lawrence got lost in the mountains. Lawrence gets lost in the mountains. He isn't found until 3 days later. At that time, he was hiding inside an ancient tree. Everyone finds it hard to believe. How did young Lawrence survive the cold and hunger for 3 days in the snowstorm? Later they learn that the ancient tree is the village's guardian. It has lived for 4,500 years. Blackjack becomes very curious. He goes to check out the tree. There he sees an old man about to kill himself. He is the same man who helped Pinocchio and the others leave the mountains. Blackjack quickly saves him, but the old man scolds Blackjack for interfering. He says he wants to die with the sacred tree. The village plans to build a road to the city, so they want to cut down the tree that has protected the village for centuries, and Lawrence's father is the one in charge of the project. The old man believes Lawrence's illness is the tree's curse on him. This makes Blackjack even more curious. He starts studying the tree, but he finds nothing. Soon it's time to remove Lawrence's bandages. But when they take them off, something shocking happens. The tree buds on Lawrence's body have grown back. This time Lawrence isn't confused. Instead, he says he remembers a promise he made. Then he runs toward the mountain. When he got lost in the snowstorm, the tree protected him from the wind and snow. It also gave him food. The tree loved Lawrence's singing. It asked Lawrence to sing for it every day. Lawrence agreed, but later he moved to London. The tree knew it would soon die because of the road construction, so it used this way to ask Lawrence to sing for it. One last time Lawrence comes to the tree and finally keeps his promise when he finishes singing the 4,500-year-old tree. The ancient tree seems completely satisfied. It quickly starts to dry up and grow old. Finally, it falls down with a loud crash. Lawrence's illness is completely cured, but the tree doesn't really disappear. Instead, its seeds spread to many new places. It hopes that one day soon it will find its true home.